Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Today's episode, we're going to continue talking about the trials and tribulations and the timelines of Fitans. Um, what's really special about what we have nowadays is that we have all the hadith, and then we also have Brother Muhammad Qasim bin Abdul Kareem. He's been getting true dreams from seeing the Prophet ﷺ. And in this true dreams, the Prophet ﷺ kind of almost pieces together different things and tells him to do different things, right? And these dreams are kind of like a good bashar for the Muslim Ummah, as well as a warning as well. So with these, I'm gonna kind of put like a timeline of, and Allah Alam, this is a timeline made from my efforts and other helpers' efforts. So this is not 100% take it to heart, but it is a good prediction of what's going to happen in the future, and how do we fit everything together, right? I remember when we're talking about Islamic eschatology, we're talking about the end time stuff. So this is all in mystery, and it's all shrouded in the unknown, right? Whenever you talk about the future, really nobody really knows the unknown unless you have guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in 2014, Muhammad Qasim was asked to share his dreams with the Muslim Ummah. And if you look at his channel, there's all of it, especially go to divinedreams.com or Divine Dreams on YouTube. You're going to find a list of all his dreams, right? And he narrates most of his dreams. And today, what we're trying to do is piece it together and see how does each one fit, right? So in 2014, he was asked to share his dreams. And in one of his dreams, he had the four cow painting, right? So if you look at that dream, um, he had four cows, and in those four cows, he was painting a picture. He got tired, and then all of a sudden, the cow started picking up the painting, and they continued on, right? So this showed you that within 8 year period, right? So 4 years he's doing the work, and another 4 years. So each cow counts as a year. They somebody else kind of picks up the task of what he was assigned to by the Prophet ﷺ. So around 2022, 2023, this task should end, right? So then the next time frame, um, he talked about Imran Khan government falling, right? And he said the beginning of the dreams is when Pakistan becomes like Tora Bora, which I'm really not really sure what that means, but around 2022, that's when almost like they consider Pakistan a terrorist state, let's say, right? So you would say that Tora Bora was the invasion of America going to Afghanistan, and they were trying to find Osama bin Laden. So by Pakistan being considered Tora Bora, that means people are conspiring against Pakistan, right? And then as well, Imran Khan's government failed, as we know this year, pretty much. So that dream has come to effect. The next thing that's going to happen is that the fuel and the dollar runs out, right? And the Pakistani army kind of pretty much they're paralyzed, right? Because once you run out of fuel and you run out of oil, right, then you can't really take care of your actual military role, right? And that is currently going on as we speak, as of right now, 2022, 2030, and almost going on until 2023. So next year, 2023 to 2024, a couple things according to the dreams, and again, this is not 100% accurate. This is just our ijtihad of how we piece everything together. Um, so Turkey has a treaty, right? And then that treaty finishes, and Erdogan starts working on reviving the Ottoman Empire, right? So at this point, as Turkey's part of NATO currently, um, and he's trying to like revive his Ottoman heritage, right? There's other forces that are gonna come, and they said Muhammad Qasim says there's two castles of Islam that falls. It's first Turkey, then it's Saudi Arabia. So Allah Alam if Turkey falls next year after this treaty finishes, right? But assuming in 2023 and 2024, when the next U.S. election happens as well, there's going to be a different shift of dynamics of world power, world leadership, right? So expect possibly, especially with the Euphrates River, like the Prophet said, that is drying up. So almost everything is almost gone in the Euphrates River, right? And there's such an extreme drought going on. So once the Euphrates River revealed the mountain of gold, and 99 out of 100 people go fight for it, and 99 people die, so the attrition rate is 99%, you can expect that it would be the beginning of World War III, right? And as well, and we say 2023, 2024, Muhammad Qasim also said that there's a temple of Dajjal has been built, right? Specifically in a specific location. I'm going to keep that unknown. Please refer back to the dream exactly where that is. And then 2025, between 2024 and 2025, possibly, right? Either Saudi Arabia collapses, right? And that's the second castle of Islam that falls. And then we're talking about the, let's say, Pakistan is going to be the last castle of Islam, but it's going to start flourishing. However, right, there are going to be other forces once they start seeing that Pakistan is actually doing well, that they want to kind of eliminate it, because now Pakistan is becoming like a superpower. So think about it. Whenever you have two superpowers fighting on the center stage, right, it's inevitable that they're gonna like butt heads, right? So now we're currently, you have between China and US, right? These are the two superpowers of the world, and either one has to be dominant over the other. You cannot have two superpowers at the same time, right? And it's inevitable that there is going to be a clash happening, right? And that's not what I'm saying. That's just basic economics, basic power struggles. That's going to happen. So at the same time, once the two castles of Islam falls, Pakistan, according to Muhammad Qasim's dream, starts flourishing, right? So now the other superpowers don't like this, and they actually want to kind of diminish that power, right? And then this is going to be called Ghazwat Hind, right? So this is when 80 banners come against Pakistan, and the biggest of them is actual India itself, right? And the reason why this is so significant is because this is the last light of Islam that's left on the earth specifically, right? So just referring back to the Battle of Badr, where it was between Kufr and Iman, it's the exact same concept, but just in the modern times, right? So now we said a couple things, right? So Turkey falls, Saudi Arabia falls. Now Pakistan is gonna be the last castle, and almost 80 banners. I don't know if this is NATO, I don't know if this is UN, all come against Pakistan specifically, right? Now Muhammad Qasim's 13-year, you would say, promise has been fulfilled at this point, almost between 2027 and 2028, and this is when, um, let's say, leadership has been given to this person, right? And that promise would change the whole dynamics, right? So without using any specific titles, right? This is when that stuff will help start happening. And keep in mind, at this whole time, we said in 2024, possibly 2023, that this is the initiating start or spark for World War III, right? So now this is great devastation throughout the whole world, and this is going on for many, many years, right? So around 2028, you would expect that possibly this might start dying it down, and by 2023, 2031 or 2030, right, you would say that World War III might possibly come to an end. And at this point, there is a 7-year peace treaty, right, within the whole world, right, between Pakistan and the rest of the world. And the 7-year peace treaty, Pakistan starts preparing for itself because it knows exactly what's going on. As I said in part one, the next big trial, right, and the biggest trial to the whole Muslim Ummah, right, will be Dajjal. And the Prophet said, I am the final prophet, I'm the final messenger as well. And Dajjal has every nation, every prophet warned their nation about Dajjal. So much so even Noah alayhi salam warned his nation about Dajjal. And indeed, you are the final nation of people. So he has to come amongst you. There is no doubt about it. So potentially Dajjal will start coming. And once one of the major signs start happening, right? It's like a bead, right? Like the beads on a necklace. Once the necklace pops, all the beads start coming one after another. So it does not mean that, oh, this happens and then this happens, and the 10 major signs happen one after another. It could actually be the 10 major signs happen almost simultaneously, one while one is still here. So potentially you have the gel coming. Potentially you have Ya'juj and Ma'juj or Gog and Magog at the same time, right? Almost as it overlaps. So it's not necessarily one after another. It's almost like this, right? So one comes, then the next one overlaps it, right? And then the next thing overlaps it, right? And then the Prophet also said, there is no prophet between me and him. That is Isa alayhi salam. He will descend to the earth. When you see him, recognize him. A man of medium height, reddish fair, wearing two light yellow garments, looking as if drops were falling down from his head, though it will not be wet. He will fight the people and call in the cause for Islam. He will break the cross, kill the swine, and abolish jizya. Allah will perish all religions except Islam. He will destroy Antichrist, and he will live on the earth for 40 years, and he will then die. The Muslim will pray over him. So, Allahu Alam, if this is 40 years or this is until he is 40, right? So remember, Isa alayhi salam was raised up when he was 33, right? So Allah Alam if this he is lives for 7 years, right, as well, because now almost everything starts happening one after another, right? So it's not almost 40. I don't think it's 40 extra years of his life. I personally, this is my personal opinion. I think it's 7 years, right, until he reaches 40, right? And this you're gonna see a lot of blessings happen as well, right? At this point, you talk about 2070, right? So if Isa potentially might come back in 2050. And again, these are not specific dates, these are just approximations, right? So nobody's saying, oh, this has to happen at this time. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to put the puzzle pieces together and saying potentially if you have World War III end in 2030, you have extra 7 years of peace. So 2037 to potentially 2040, right? You have the gel coming out and Ya'juj and Ma'juj coming out. And then you have Isa potentially descending in 2050 on from 2045 to 2050. That might be the time frame. And then you have Isa alayhi salam living amongst us. And we know that the Prophet said the Ummah is about 1500 years. So currently we're in Muharram of 1444, and you add another 56 years to complete 1500 would be 2078, right? In 2078, potentially, right, would be the end of the timeline. I'm not saying this is when Qiyamah starts, but this is when you would say that the Muslim nation has come to an end, right? And the last ummah of the Prophet happens. And the Prophet also said, there is no, the Qiyamah does not start, the trumpet will not be blown except on the worst of people, right? So the worst of people, right, potentially, hopefully, nobody's alive at this time, right? So does this mean that we potentially might be the last generations? I would say Allah Alam. But if that is the case, that means we have to do a lot of work. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.